Hi, everyone, and welcome back to 7 Days Inside EMDR. I'm Kyle Lincoln, a mental health counselor based in Salem, Massachusetts.
Hello, my name is Kellyn, and I work with Kyle at his practice doing some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And it's great to be back.
Yeah. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to pull back the curtain and demystify what it actually feels like to start EMDR. So we're going to treat this episode like an orientation. Kellyn, I want you to step into the role of somebody who is brand new to this, walking into my office for the first time, curious but maybe a little nervous.
Okay, I can definitely do that. So I can just ask the questions that would be on my mind?
Yes, let me do the guiding, but definitely ask anything that comes up along the way.
Okay, great.
So I'll set the roadmap for the key stages of EMDR. First, the preparation work, where I learn about your story and help you figure out some coping tools that will work for you. And second, the memory work, what happens when we process a memory, and how we can even use EMDR for present-day triggers and future goals.
Yeah, that's great. So this is basically for anyone who is asking themselves, what am I actually signing up for? Let's do it.
All right, so Kellyn, welcome. Let's pretend you're here in my office for the first time. You walk through the door, you see my L-shaped couch, my Legos collection, and I invite you to take a seat. Walk me through what's going on in your mind right now.
Honestly, I'm probably nervous, and we're going to dive into the worst thing that has ever happened to me, right? So do we just start with that?
It's funny you say that. I mean, that's probably the number one fear. And I can tell you with 100% absolute certainty, no. The first and most important part of the process is preparation or stabilization. We don't go anywhere near a difficult memory until you feel safe and grounded and equipped with tools to manage any distress that might come up when we start the reprocessing of memories. We'll spend our first few sessions just talking, getting to know your story and building resources.
Okay. Instantly, I'm feeling much better about this whole thing. But you mentioned starting with building resources. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I think of building resources as finding things that help you, or naming things that already help you, or learning new skills that will help you, things that are part of your mental health toolbox. In the case of trauma work, the most essential and practical skills that you can use are things that calm your nervous system. For example, in a real session, I might guide you through an exercise like the calm state, and we'll practice that later. And we do that and strengthen it until you could call on that feeling of calm whenever you needed it.
So is this like homework? Am I going to have to practice things between sessions?
Well, practice is a great word for it. I might encourage you to notice moments of calm during your week or use breathing exercises that we practiced. But it's definitely not homework in the sense that you might be used to the word. I love telling people that EMDR has no homework. Your homework is to go live your life. But like everything, you do get better at using resources with practice.
All right, that's a relief. So let's say we've done that. I've got my tools. I feel ready. What does it look like when we finally approach a memory? Are you going to make me talk about it for an hour straight? Because, hey, that sounds awful.
That's another great question. And I should have said up front that EMDR is a very scripted kind of therapy. And your counselor or your therapist will guide you in very concrete ways once you're there at reprocessing. But let's say we are there. And so we're 6 sessions in. We've identified the big life issue that you're dealing with. Help me think of one.
Maybe I'm having trouble sleeping?
Okay, so what if we stepped back a bit and explored something broader, like feeling defeated or not getting a promotion?
Okay, so maybe feeling defeated, having a frustrated day at work. That's the straw that broke the camel's back in this scenario.
Yeah. So you're feeling defeated. Maybe that's more like a pattern, and missing this opportunity is more like the latest episode in life's sad sitcom. Maybe we'll find a common thread in this thought, I'm a loser.
Oof, okay.
So we've identified a specific memory to work on. We have identified something earlier in life that might be associated with the feelings you're having now. And I'd ask you to hold a piece of that in your mind along with that thought, I'm a loser. And we'd begin processing using what we call bilateral stimulation.
Right. The famous part.
Mhm.
So, will I be following your fingers back and forth the whole time? Am I going to be tapping my knees for an hour?
Yeah, no, not at all. First, I'll say that in my office, we have a few options for BLS. It can be eye movements, buzzers. You can do butterfly tapping. You can use headphones, which have a sound to them. Some people like a monitor projection. But okay, we'll find what works for you. But second, it's not continuous throughout the whole session. We're going to do this in short sets. So maybe like 30 or 40 seconds at a time. We're going to pause. I'm going to encourage you to take a deep breath. And then I'll simply ask you, what are you noticing? Or what did you notice? And I do want to emphasize that in the process, you're always in control. You can say stop at any time, or you can say keep going if I stop you prematurely.
All right. Short sets is much less intimidating. I like that idea. But wait, in this scenario, I came in because of a job thing. It's a little less relevant, right, to be exploring memories. What about the anxiety I felt in the meeting yesterday? Or this big presentation I have coming up that I'm terrified of?
I mean, I'm really glad you asked that. So yes, we'll always start with stabilizing, and sometimes we devote entire sessions to finding new tools or resources when it feels urgent. I mean, really, you have to be in a safe, stable, and ready state to process memories. But the truth is, in EMDR, the idea of what is wrong is rooted in the past, right? So imagine a tree. I mean, what you're seeing in the present are like the branches of the tree. But we would say that, yes, you can address those, you can do some pruning work, but actually to do real lasting change, trait change, you're going to have to go deeper into the trunk and even into the roots. And so we always start with the first or the worst memory, the touchstone memory, which I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, when we're dealing with present stressors like work stress. I mean, EMDR believes that unprocessed memories are the things that carry over into the present and shape the way we see the future. I mean, once you work through some of these earlier memories, EMDR becomes a tool for your whole life. We actually use the TICES process for present day triggers. If that meeting yesterday left you feeling rattled, we can target it to take the emotional charge out of it.
Okay, so through healing, reprocessing my past traumatic memories, I'm more equipped to handle my present day struggles.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about the future? The presentation I have for work next week?
I mean, that's a good example for something that we might build a future template for. We can actually use EMDR to prepare you for a future event. So we'd have you imagine the presentation going well, ask you what you're doing to make it go well, and we'd use BLS to instill feelings of calm and confidence. It's almost like doing BLS while doing a dress rehearsal for your brain, your nervous system, to build those pathways for success rather than anxiety.
Yeah, I honestly forgot for a second that I'm really only pretending to be a client. But honestly, walking through it like this makes the whole idea of going into an EMDR therapy session feel a lot less intimidating.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, that was the goal of this. I mean, trauma can make people feel powerless. Like the things are just happening to them. But this process is designed to be transparent. We want you to understand the map so you always feel like an active participant in your own healing, not just a passenger. So in our last discussion, we introduced the acronym TICES, which is a way to break down a memory into different pieces. So what does TICES stand for, Kellyn?
Okay, I swear I'm not looking. It's trigger, image, cognition, emotion, and sensation.
Yep, you got it right.
Nice.
Yep. And I can attest she was not looking.
Okay, awesome. So wait, this does make up for me not remembering what the acronym for EMDR was, right?
In the first episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. Okay, so for our word of the day, we're talking about the concept of target language. And I want to give you a heads up, EMDR has its own world of vocabulary and acronyms, and there are 4 more I'm going to teach you that fit under this umbrella of target language.
Can I just ask, what is it with EMDR and its
I
acronyms?
know, right? Okay, so there's NC, PC, SUDs or SUDs, and VOC. Yeah, it can be a lot. The goal of target language and these 4 acronyms is to give you a clear shape to the trauma memory and what exactly you're focusing on, right? It's about narrowing our focus and targeting one memory at a time.
Okay, nice. So where do we start with this?
Okay, so, pretend you're working through your podcast stage fright. Not yours, but one is. And let's say you want to work through some childhood memories that might be associated with performance anxiety.
Okay, so we're going to use you this time, Kyle.
Okay, good call. I'll work through my little T trauma this time, okay? All right, so in 8th grade musical, I'm singing a solo, and I can't reach the high note. Let's use that memory.
Oh, this should be good.
Wait, no, but so you pretend you're me, so I don't have to ask the questions to myself. If you had an image, the worst part of this memory as a still frame image, what would it be?
Boy, I don't know. Maybe the look of embarrassment on my family's face.
Sure, yeah. And if you had to express a single belief about yourself in that moment, what would it be?
Man, what was 8th grade Kyle thinking in that moment? Maybe I will never be good enough.
There it is. Especially if this still rings true today. In the EMDR world, we'd call that the negative cognition, or NC for short. It's the clinical term for the lie that a painful memory teaches us about ourselves.
And that is the lie. That is a lie. I don't believe that about you, just so you know.
Right. Yeah. So next, let's measure the sting. When you think about that moment and the belief, I will never be good enough, how strong is that feeling for you right now? 0 to 10. That's what I'd ask.
Solid 9. Nah. I'm kidding. It's probably in this hypothetical situation where I am you in this moment. Maybe like a 5.
Okay, and that 5 gets a name too. We'd call that the SUDS score. It stands for the subjective units of disturbance, which is the ridiculously complicated way of saying this is how much it hurts.
Okay, so far, the target language is the negative cognition, or NC, and subjective units of disturbance, or SUDS. What comes next?
Okay, right. So we need to find the truth, or the more adapted belief you want to replace the lie with. So what would you rather believe about yourself instead of I will never be good enough?
Maybe my value doesn't depend on whether I hit a high note or not. That, you know what, I am good enough.
That brings music to my 8th grade ears. That's our positive cognition. It's the destination, right? After reprocessing, that's where we expect to land. See, these concepts are simple. They're the labels are just the packaging.
Alrighty. So we have the lie, which is I'm not good enough. The pain level, which we said was a 5. And the truth we're aiming for, that I am good enough.
Right. And one last piece of vocab, we have to check how believable that truth feels right now before you begin reprocessing. So on a scale of 1 to 7, how true does I am good enough feel?
Low. I don't know. Not hitting a high note in 8th grade, that's rough. But so let's say maybe a 3.
Okay, good. And that's our last acronym, VOC, or validity of cognition. It just means how true does the adaptive belief feel? And a 3 is the most normal answer in the world, given what happened. Well, to me, right, in the 8th grade.
So behind all the jargon, NC, SUDS, PC, VOC, it's really a 4-step process. Name the lie, measure its sting, find the truth, and see how far away that truth feels.
Yes. Though it's less of like a 4-stage process and more about visualizing the target, because that is what we'll focus on in EMDR reprocessing. I think that is more of the process. The reprocessing is more of the process. This is more just visualizing what we're targeting. And as a side note, during phase 3, we would also ask about the image that is conjured in your mind, the most painful part, and the emotions connected to that memory and any bodily sensations associated with it.
TICES.
Right. So in order to truly know the SUDS, you have to explore the emotion and the bodily sensations as well, since you're measuring your experience remembering and not just the level of like dissonance you feel when you try to fit the memory together with the negative belief. So in EMDR, a target memory is considered cleared when SUDS are a 0, when the VOC is a 7, and there are no more negative body sensations connected to a memory. It has been both desensitized and effectively reprocessed around a more truthful, adaptive belief.
It's good to know that you are finally able to get over your podcast stage fright.
Right. We at least know the target.
Right. That is especially important since this is what we are doing right now.
Okay. Well, I can now that I've defined it as an EMDR target. I can bring it to my therapist and work on it. Okay, so that's all the target language we have time for. It's a helpful framework that helps turn traumatic memories into something you can measure and actually work on. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to walk you through a practice we often use early in EMDR. It's called creating a safe, calm state. This is one of the first skills we build in phase 2 of EMDR, the phase that focuses on preparation and resourcing before we begin reprocessing memories.
So is this something that clients actually do in a session with you?
Yes, a modified version of it. In a session, I would guide someone through the same process, but we would also add bilateral stimulation, like gentle tapping or tones or eye movements that help reinforce the calm feeling in the body. We'd also spend some time shifting attention from the image to the emotional state it creates, and eventually we would even try to practice maintaining that calm state in the face of small challenges we introduce. But today we're going to be doing a simpler version that just gives you a sense of what it is, maybe like a starting point. This is a way to practice feeling calm and learning to stay with it.
I know for me personally, I could certainly practice finding and probably more importantly, keeping calm. Finding a sense of calm is not an easy thing to do, you know?
Right? That is one of the surprising things about EMDR. For many people, calm can feel unfamiliar at first or even uncomfortable. So part of our work is learning what it feels like to be okay and building comfort within that state. The more familiar it becomes, the more your nervous system can return to it when you need it. Okay, let's try it now. If you're listening and able, get in a comfortable position. Let your hands rest. Let your shoulders drop a little bit. And just give yourself permission to pause. Now, bring to mind a place or a moment that gives you a sense of calm or safety. It could be real or imagined. Maybe like a quiet forest or a warm blanket or a memory of being held. Whatever feels steady or peaceful.
Right now, I'm thinking about lying in my bed, specifically in my childhood home.
That's perfect. So take a few seconds to notice what you see or sense. Notice things like color and texture, things that stand out. What's the pace of this moment? And now just check in with your body. As you picture this calm scene, what do you feel? Maybe your breath slows, your jaw loosens, your chest opens a little bit. Just notice any shift going on inside you. Now let that calm grow a little stronger. Imagine it filling your body from the inside, maybe spreading across your shoulders or softening your hands. If this calm feeling had a name or a phrase, what would you call it, Kellyn? Something that helps you return to it later.
Funnily enough, I think my phrase is actually my mom calling me down for dinner. I feel like that's something I would hear a lot, just being in my room and hearing her voice.
Okay, so what word or words are you actually hearing?
I guess just like It's dinner time.
It's dinner time. Okay. So those are the words. Try saying that to yourself now and notice what happens in your body as you say it. It's dinner time. That phrase can become like a cue, and like you can practice cueing during the week. Even when things are going fine, just say the word, that phrase, and bring it back, that mental image and the feeling. It's like making a well-worn trail in your nervous system. So in EMDR, we would keep strengthening this calm state in session using bilateral stimulation and returning to the feeling until it becomes more familiar and easier to access. And later we might even imagine something mildly frustrating just to practice shifting back into a calm state on purpose. But what we're doing now, we're just noticing and naming the calm. This is the foundation.
That makes a lot of sense. And for me, it feels like I'm not just learning to relax, but also sort of learning to trust that relaxed state as a calm and even safe space for me.
That was well said. This becomes one of the tools you carry with you. The more often you return to it, even briefly, the more your body learns, this is safe, I know how to get here. And that is what resourcing is all about. So, Kellyn, now that we're out of our pretend session, how did that orientation feel?
Honestly, so much better than I was expecting. Just knowing that the process starts with safety, that I'm in control of the pace, and that it's not just an hour of staring at your fingers, it makes it all feel so much more manageable, human, and normal.
I'm glad you said that last one, normal, yeah. So many clients say something similar once they've gotten their feet wet with EMDR. I think that EMDR is a really collaborative process. I mean, it's the wrong idea entirely that I'll be telling a client to follow my fingers for an hour. It just sounds like they aren't driving the car.
Right, and that's one of the big takeaways here, that the client, they are always in the driver's seat.
That's always true. The client is in the driver's seat. They set the pace. They figure out how fast the car is going to go, the direction the car is going to go in. I mean, the goal of any good orientation is to make you feel informed and empowered. And I hope our little walkthrough did just that.
I think it certainly did. And I imagine that for a lot of people, a big part of feeling safe in EMDR is understanding what's happening in our own nervous system during the process.
I mean, whether you know it or not, you just set up the next episode perfectly. I mean, now that you have the feel for what a session is like, next week we're going to establish what safety actually means in trauma work. And I'll do this using the idea of the window of tolerance.
And I think that'll be very helpful for anyone listening. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for joining us on 7 Days Inside EMDR.
Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Bye.